刘培元的英文教室经典演说篇第141集我们来回顾一下第65到66集英国哲学家非常有名的人道主义者罗素，他的也说我们要选择死亡嘛，因为他也是反战，所以很多哲学家、很多科学家、很多人道主义者都反对战争但彼此的理由讲法可能有点不太一样。Shall we choose death？ 这个好，我们只是念复习一下一个句子黑色字，一个句子红色字比较好区分。好，我们只是念我只是念，所以意思要是不懂的话，就去看前面各集。And speaking not as a Briton, not as a European, not as a member of Western democracy, but as a human being.A member of the species man, whose continued existence is in doubt. The world is full of conflicts, Jews and Arabs, Indians and Pakistanis, white men and Negroes in Africa, and overshadowing your minor conflicts, the titanic struggle between communism and anti-communism.Almost everybody who is politically conscious has strong feelings about one or more of these issues. But I want you, if you can, to set aside such feelings for the moment and consider yourself only as a member of a biological species which has had a remarkable history and whose disappearances none of us can desire.I shall try to say no single word that should appeal to one group rather than to another. All equally are in peril, and if the peril is understood, there is hope that they may collectively avert it. We have to learn to think in a new way. We have to learn to ask ourselves not what steps can be taken to give military victory to whatever group we prefer.For there no longer are such steps. The question we have to ask ourselves is, what steps can be taken to prevent military contest, which the issue must be disastrous to all sides? The general public, and even many men in positions of authority, have not realized what would be involved in a war with hydrogen bombs.The general public still thinks in terms of the obliteration of cities. It is understood that new bombs are more powerful than the old, and that while one atomic bomb could obliterate Hiroshima, one hydrogen bomb could obliterate the larger cities such as London, New York, and Moscow. No doubt in a hydrogen bomb world,Great cities would be obliterated. But this is one of the minor disasters that would have to be faced. If everybody in London, New York, and Moscow were exterminated, the world might, in the course of a new centuries, recover from the blow. But we now know, especially since the Bikini test,that hydrogen bombs can gradually spread destructions over a much wider area than had been supposed. It is stated on very good authority that a bomb can now be manufactured which will be 25,600 times as powerful as that which destroyed Hiroshima. Such a bomb, if exploded near the ground or underwater, sends radioactive particles into the upper air. They sink gradually and reach the surface of the earth in the form of the daily dust rain. It was this dust which infected Japanese fishermen and their catch of fish, although they were outside what the American experts believed to be the danger zone.No one knows how widely such lethal radioactive particles might be diffused, but the best authorities are unanimous in saying that a war with hydrogen bomb is quite likely to put an end to the human race. It is feared that if many hydrogen bombs are used, there will be universal death. sought only for a fortunate minority. But for the majority, a slow torture of disease and disintegration. Here then is a problem which I present to you, stark and dreadful and inescapable. Shall we put an end to the human race, or shall mankind renounce war? People will not face this alternative because it is so difficult to abandon war. The abolition of war would demand tasteful limitations of national sovereignty. But what perhaps impedes understanding of the situation more than anything else is that term mankind feels vague and abstract. People scarcely realize in imagination the dangers to themselves and their children and their grandchildren, or not only to dimly apprehend humanity. And so they hope that perhaps war may be allowed to continue provided the modern weapons are prohibited. I'm afraid this hope is illusory. Whatever agreements not to use hydrogen bombs have been reached in time of peace, they will no longer be considered binding in time of war. And both sides were set to work to manufacture hydrogen bombs as soon as war broke out. But if one side manufactured the bombs and the other did not, the side that manufactured them will inevitably be victorious. As geological time is reckoned, man has so far existed only for a very short period, 1 million years at the most. What he has achieved, especially during the last 6,000 years, is something utterly new in the history of the cosmos, so far at least as we are acquainted with it. For countless ages the sun rose and set, the moon waxed and waned, the stars shone in the light in the night, but it was only with the coming of man that these things were understood. In the great world of astronomy and in the little world of the atom, man has unveiled secrets which might have been thought undiscoverable. In art and literature and religion, some men have shown a sublimity of feeling which makes the species worth preserving. Is all this end in trivial horror because so few are able to think of man rather than of his or that good of man? In our race so destitute of wisdom, so incapable of impartial love, so blind even to the simplest dictates of self-preservation, that the last proof of his silly cleverness is to be the extermination of all life on our planet. For it would be not only man who would perish, but also the animals, who no one can accuse of communism or anti-communism. I cannot believe that this is to be the end. I would have men forget their quarrels for a moment and reflect that if they will allow themselves to survive, there is every reason to expect the triumphs of the future to exceed immeasurably the triumphs of the past. There lies before us, if we choose, continual progress in happiness, knowledge, and wisdom. Shall we instead choose death because we cannot forget our quarrels? I appeal as a human being to human beings. Remember your humanity and forget the rest. If you can do so, the way lives open to a new paradise. If you cannot, nothing lies before you but universal death. 这篇讲得很沉重，我们回顾到这里。